Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Jukka Tapaninen, and I'm a CEO of Aiforia. So Aiforia is in an area of pathology, so we are dealing with the tissue samples, and we have a deep learning-based AI solution to actually to capture and analyze the information on those slides. And by doing that, so we are actually modernizing kind of a 150-year-old process of using a microscope and kind of manually analyzing and assessing those slides. Now we can provide quantitative information and also kind of showing in a picture where the potential issues are. But the aim is really to improve the whole process, efficiency, accuracy, and of course, finally, end of the day, the patient care as well. And the challenge what we have here is a big one. And there's a huge digital transformation going on. There's about 100,000 pathologies in the world. They are overloaded. Cancer cases are going up, and also those tissue samples are needed to be analyzed and diagnosed in a pharmaceutical industry to speed up the drug development process, but also in a clinical side, so that you can process all the different type of diseases and diagnoses on that area. Overall in the world, so there's about 3 billion glass slides that will be digitized, and that process has already started. The digitization rate is currently about 15% and expected to grow to 36% in the next couple of years. So the market is already big and it's growing, and there's a huge demand. And this is one of those areas in the medicine that has not yet been automated. So if you think about the radiology, so the same transformation was happening about 10, 15 years ago. In pathology, for obvious reasons, so it was a little bit delayed because the file sizes are actually, even though they are kind of tiny samples in the glass plates, but they are 1,000 times bigger than in the radiology, so containing a huge amount of data. And that was a challenge to move it in a cloud environment and also using technologies to kind of get the information out. There's a lot of articles, so if I would have given this presentation 5 years ago, people would have said that pathologists are so traditional so that they don't want to have a change. They love their microscope and nothing is going to change. But that's actually history because of those reasons so that I mentioned before. So there's a lot of a demand, so a lot of samples to be diagnosed, and frankly speaking, not enough capacity to do the work in old-fashioned ways. But let's go to a small video. So this is one that explains what the Aiforia is doing. So just take a kind of a few seconds to go through, but I start it now.
Let us take you through a common scenario, what the clinical workflow looks like while the patient waits for an answer. A patient is suspected of having cancer. Ultrasounds, blood samples, and other medical tests are performed. These tests indicate the need for a tissue or cell biopsy to provide a diagnosis. The biopsy sample is sent to a laboratory for analysis by, for example, a pathologist. The patient waits for their results, which can sometimes take weeks due to high workloads and a limited number of experts available. The pathologist examines the tissue sample visually under a microscope, a method used for over 150 years, a method which is relatively time-consuming and requires a high level of expertise. This traditional visual method of evaluating patient samples may also involve a high risk of bias and human error, creating room for subjectivity, low reproducibility, and in the worst case, a misdiagnosis. Healthcare professionals deserve powerful assistive tools to fully utilize their expertise for better patient outcomes. If the pathologist or medical expert was able to use Aiforia's AI-based image analysis software, the sample assessment would be somewhat different. The sample taken from the patient would be digitized with a microscope scanner, and the pathologist would study the digital sample on a computer screen and apply the assistive AI. Aiforia's AI software aims to increase the speed, accuracy, and consistency of analyzing the patient sample, automating manual tasks, providing quantitative results, and aiding them in standardizing analysis across multiple samples. This in turn would benefit both the patient and pathologist, as Aiforia's software intends to speed up the time to diagnosis. As a result, patients would get their results faster and could receive more efficient and personalized treatment.
Okay, so hopefully you get an idea of what the solution is doing. So basically, Aiforia started to build a deep learning-based AI platform and a solution back in 2015. And at that point of time, so we were the first company in the world to focus on and leveraging the latest technology on that field. And that platform, so it took something like 5-6 years to build the kind of a first version. We started to commercialize back in 2018. But that's the core asset of the company. So and with that platform, so we give a tools to pathologists, enable them to make their own AI models. So we have a patented annotation assistant. So that's a tool that helps to kind of speed up the annotation process and pinpoints the areas that you might be missing and improving the process. So you don't need to be an engineer to do it. So you need to know the science, and then you can start building your own AI models. And that's where we started with the preclinical settings, so working with the pharma companies. There are a lot of different type of needs that they have, and they've been building their solutions. A lot of CROs, academic research, education customers. For example, all the medical universities in Finland are using Aiforia technology for the teaching. So there's a kind of plenty of different segments on a preclinical side, and we are serving all of those with our platform approach. So then 2 years ago, we decided to expand on a clinical side as well. So knowing that we have this unique, and we think that's the best technology in the world, so that we can start building a clinical solutions using our own technology. And actually in the past 2 years, so we've been bringing 5 different CE IVD mark solutions to the markets, and we are expanding going forward. The whole idea in a clinical side is that we start automating those big workflows, so hundreds of thousands or even millions of cases handled in an annual basis, and so we want to start kind of automating and improving that process. And in order to do that, so you need to have a good portfolio of different AI models. So with the one-point solution, you can always bring some benefits, but if you have a good portfolio, so then actually you can really start improving and improving the efficiency and quality of the process. And as I said, the market, it's already there. It's expanding. So there's 100,000 pathologists in the world. So there's 3 billion class slides and multiple other things out there. So and this transformation is now kind of speeding up. As a company, so we did our IPO just about a year ago, 10th of December last year, and our aim was to kind of raise some funds to improve the product development, speed up the AI model development, also start kind of strengthening the sales team. And I can say that, okay, so all of those kind of targets that we set up a year ago, so we've been moving forward nicely. So the R&D team has been able to bring new AI models to a market. So we've been growing the team. So we actually doubled the size of the headcount. And now it seems that, okay, so we have about the right size to move forward, at least 23 and a bit of a 24 as well. So not a major increase. So we did that heavy lifting last year. So and now we are kind of moving forward on commercializing and improving the R&D as we go forward. Main office in Helsinki, so we have an office in Boston in the US, and then individuals and partners in the different countries and different parts of the world. Going from 3,000 users to 5,000, that was one of our kind of 2-year goals that we set up in the IPO. So we done that. So that's a good sign. We have a presence in over 50 countries and plus million images already analyzed and plus 400 AI models done. And those models are done by our team, customers, or in a combination. So, but the point is that, okay, solution itself is very well tested and has a good traction in a market globally. Then our strengths. Of course. So one is that, okay, so we started to develop everything on a cloud. So it's a cloud native. So we first started on how to kind of move those large picture files in a cloud environment, and then moving to kind of a phase that we started to capture the information from those slides. So that's our core. And also that we've been working very closely with the customers. And as you can see, there was 5,000 users. And if you think about the revenues, what we have, it's not a huge amount in revenues, but there's a huge amount of information that we have got from those users, and building a solution really to meet the needs of the pathologies. So, and now when we move forward on a commercialization phase, so then the usability and user experience, user interface is really, really important. And of course the cloud, so there's obvious benefits on that as well, so that you can handle the peak loads and huge capacities that is needed to do those diagnoses if you do it in a volume environment like in a clinical setting. Platform is scalable, and we have a deep understanding of the AI. So we have a very strong team on a technology side, plus in a science side, and combining those things, we think that you can actually build a kind of scalable and growing software solution. Because in many cases, because this is a new market, sometimes people think that the AI is an algorithm, so that's the solution, but that's obviously not the solution. So you need to build a whole package. How do you further develop, maintain, having a different APIs and connections to surrounding systems and so on, so that then you start having a software solution. So I think we have a pretty good kind of start from that side. From a technology perspective, so there has been machine learning-based solutions in the market before, and deep learning is a subset. So that's the latest technology, and I'm not going to go on deep details on this, but we have a clear advantage on this comparing to any of the competition. So competition mostly kind of handles the workflow, or they are just able to kind of spot on those samples whether the sample has a cancer or no cancer. But we are doing the annotations of those slides and the training of those slides in a pixel level, so that we can capture a huge amount of information from those slides. And that's a big difference, and that's a big benefit for us. And that's why we've been quite successful on kind of getting new customers as well. This is a way to simplify the whole thing, so that you really want to find a detailed, multiple different type of things from the slide. From the breakfast table, but obviously we are dealing with the tissue samples and a diagnosis on those. And these are then, of course, the examples. So because at the end of the day, so it's an image analyzing technology, so we can capture the information from a different type of picture materials, and when it's containing a huge amount of data and you're trying to find very, very small things, so then our technology has a benefit. I mentioned these solutions, so it's really, I think we have the widest portfolio at the moment, and because we have that platform technology, so we can easily kind of expand when needed. So, but currently we will add maybe a few solutions next year. So, but I think it's a kind of a good starting point to go to market, and based on the customer need and customer information. So then we start kind of certifying more these solutions. Security, quality, so this applies, I think, all of the kind of pharma and health tech companies, so very high standards, and we've been kind of putting a lot of kind of effort on making sure that, okay, so we kind of qualify in all of those criteria, and we have all the kind of needed certifications in place. Even though we are a small company from Finland with the kind of fast growing, but still a small revenue, so we have a good brand name customers who are using our solutions. So, and we've been doing a lot of studies together with these companies. Previous presenter is one of our customers from Finland. So, but there's a lot of kind of big pharma companies outside of Finland as well, and some good clinical customers. This is an example that I've been using a couple of times already, but I really need to mention this because it's a number one hospital in the world. Volumes are very high. We won this big deal a year ago. We've been delivering that. A lot of those resources that we actually increased, so been helping on delivering Mayo, and there's a good reason for that because when it's on live, so it will be the best practice for the whole industry, so that the other kind of clinics can kind of imitate and replicate later. So, but we have 3 agreements. So we have a agreement to deliver the Create platform for the research organization, and that's already live since August. We have an agreement to bring the first AI models to a clinical side. We have delivered the software. Now they're validating internally, and the go live is in Q1. So that's moving nicely. And next idea is obviously so that we make a plan on adding more and more AI models on that portfolio. And then we have a joint development agreement with them as well. So in a way, so it's progressing nicely. And thanks to Mayo and of course the good solution and nice sales efforts, we've been able to get additional customers. Wake Forest for 450 researchers, 90 hospitals, City of Hope, 30 hospitals in Southern California, big ones, couple of additional universities, and soon we will announce more of these. But my point is really that the sales seems to be picking up nicely. So we are getting real customers, moving a proof of concept customers to kind of real life production. So and that's a good news. And of course, science size is important. So we keep on adding these kind of publications and white papers and so on together with our major customers. So there's a really important that we are active on this side, and I think if you think of why we've been successful on those customer acquisitions, it's the combination, so that we can actually credibly work on a science side and a research organization, and then move to a clinical side, so that we have that platform. And the solutions are not black box. We can actually modify the AI models to meet the criteria of a particular hospital, and that combination has been good for us, at least during this year. And then so our targets very quickly on these CE-IVD mark solutions. So we said, by the way, so that the short term is 2 years. So it took 6 months to bring those CE-IVD mark solutions. Customers, we have pharmaceutical customers, we have over 5,000 users, yes. So we delivered this less than a year, and the original target was 2 years. So in a way, so we've been moving forward as planned. And in the midterm, so then of course we will expand the portfolio to reach the 80% coverage on the workflow, and then going cash flow positive back in 25, and growing the revenues, reaching more users and more billable customers. But I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Jukka. Now, time for some questions. Your artificial intelligence solution is part of a value chain that also has, for example, slide scanners. So can you describe a little bit of what is your position, and is AI the driving force in this value chain, or how do you position in this game?
Yeah, so obviously, so we are not there alone. So it's a process starting from a wet lab, so that you prepare all of those samples, put it in a glass plate, put the staining, put it in a digital scanner, and then you need to kind of a picture management, image management system, so that you can store that information, share that information, make it available for the pathologist, and then you have an AI kind of running the diagnosis or diagnostic support for the pathologist. So it's a kind of a combination. Then it links back to LIS, laboratory information or hospital information system. So and then it goes to a kind of a doctor who makes the kind of a treatment decision. So it's part of that whole thing. But I see that, okay, so there's a transformation happening. 2-3 years ago, customers were and hospitals and pharma was buying a lot of scanners. There's a 15% penetration at the moment. And a scanner is obviously a thing that it's needed so that, you digitize it. But when it's digitized, so then the value actually starts bringing on when you understand what's on that file. And now we see a transformation that some of the bigger deals are started to get driven by the AI decision, that you get all the other components on that flow as well in a place, so but they need to support the AI decision because the additional value is created there. I see the similar transformation like in a PCs in the 90s, so people were think that the box is important and you have a nice processor and a speed and that's important, but then later on the application started to drive the a demand for the hardware, and we see this type of a transformation going forward.
And a follow-up question to that, do you already have the collaborators you need moving forward, or is this something that will be negotiated and
on a scanner side?
Any of the players in the value chain?
I can say, for example, this Meija thing. So there's Leica scanners. So they have plenty of those currently scanning 4,000 slides a day. There's a Sectra PAC system, so and then Aiforia AI system, so that you need that combination. But we are agnostic, so we obviously work with the different IMS systems, so and we work with the different scanner manufacturers. We have a very strong relationship with Aiforia, which is part of the Panasonic group, and they have a 3D Histech scanner, which is one of the best in the market. And then obviously, so we go to market together with them. So, but we work with all different scanners, so that's not an issue.
Yes. Then a little bit about the Mayo Clinic project. So they are now starting to utilize your AI in the clinical setting. But can you give us some concrete examples on how long does this project and run up take, and what are the steps on how it's being built? I understand it takes some time.
Well, it took I would say a little bit longer than we thought, and it was because of us, because of Mayo. So Mayo had a very strict security requirements that was slowing down the process a bit. And but now we have done all the heavy lifting on that side, so that it's accepted, it's delivered, and we start with the Key 67, so the breast cancer biomarker and AI model, but then adding more AI models, so then of course we don't have the same hassle anymore. So it's running on a Google Cloud, so that took some time to make it happen, because so we were earlier preferring Microsoft, but now we are agnostic also with all the main cloud providers, so we needed to make it work with the Google. That's done, and then all of this security and all the things are now sorted out.
And you will they will first start in one hospital and later then expand?
Yeah, so they have their a big one in Rochester in Minnesota, so that's where we start. But they have of course multiple locations in the US and multiple locations in the world. And yeah, I cannot of course comment what is the Mayo's end goal on this, but they have a huge amount of data on those slides, and they are building a data lakes, and they think that they can monetize and improve the whole process and making perhaps an additional business on that information as well. But from our side, it's quite simple: platform plus then different AI models and capturing that volume. So and working closely on a research side as well.
Okay, then a question from our community. You're seem to be heavily focused on the US and really building and growing there. How about the rest of the world? Is it something that will come much later, or how do you prioritize?
Well, I would say that we are happy to sell every customer in Europe, but for some reason US is more it's faster to adapt on this technology, and then we've been identifying plus 20 hospitals that they have, hospital groups that have more than a 10 billion turnover. So there's more money, and they see the obvious need of the automation and improving the quality. So maybe that's the reason why they were adapting quicker. But we have European customers as well, and also in the clinical side. So we've been closing the first proof of concept type of a project, so and hopefully turning those to bigger ones. But in Europe, it's more kind of tendering, having a budget, a lot of a public sector, so and maybe a little bit slowing down the process. On a technology side, very advanced, but then on a buying, not so advanced yet. But it's coming. It's coming.
Okay, then the final question about your products and the agility. You mentioned that it's possible to adjust the AI model for different hospitals. And then sometimes when you are changing your product, you need to approve it again with the market authorities. So how long of a process it is if you want to adjust your model, and can you help us understand this side a little bit?
Okay, so most of the hospitals, all the hospitals that we have as a customer in the US, they use the LTD, laboratory developed test. So they validate themselves because it's a diagnostic support tool. Whether it's kind of matching the CE-IVD or not, it doesn't really matter for them. But the benefit is that, okay, so you can retrain, you can improve the model compared to old-fashioned machine learning ways of doing things. You are fixed on one algorithm, and if something changes in a process, let's say that you want to change the scanner, you change the staining, something in a process, and then the AI doesn't work. In our case, because our approach in a platform, so we can retrain, so and we can improve. And also the AI is improving in a way so that if the pathology disagrees on a decision, they make a note, and we time to time update the software accordingly so that it keeps the standard that should be.
Okay, thank you very much, Jukka. And our next presentation is from Optomed.
Okay, thank you.